we on? Okay. So speaking of that, I am golfing with a bunch of reps for our art supply. I'm the Golden rep, the Windsor Newton rep, I think was there. They're all in from Toronto for a show or something, but they want to golf. At that time, I golfed a little. I wasn't good at it, but I wasn't bad at it. I could hold my own. I go golfing. We go to Shawnee Slopes. We golf. Worst golf game I've had ever in my life. I sucked so bad. I was so nervous. I'm with some 70-year-old guy from Heinz Jordan. I'm with the Golden rep. I'm with some other rep. I don't even remember who was there. And they're all like...
How about C2F?
Maybe. Avid golfers. They're all avid golfers, and I'm kind of a hack golfer, but I could hold my own. Anyways, I sucked so bad. After it's over, I got so mad. I threw my clubs in the back of this old car that we had, this old 76 Cutlass Supreme. Anyways, a week later, I sold that car. I put it for sale. I sold it. A week after that, dude phones me, says, "Oh, hey, I'm the guy that bought your car. I just opened the trunk. There's golf clubs in the back." And I said to him, I go, "Yeah, I was selling the golf clubs for $1,000. They come with the Cutlass Supreme. I don't want to ever see them again." And I vowed at that point, I said, if I can spend that kind of money and 4 hours on the golf course doing that time and that money for that, I should do that. I should paint, because never in the history of ever will I ever make money golfing. But there's a very slight chance that if I put that effort into painting, there might be some money that may come out of it. But there was no way I'd ever make money from golfing. I was never going to do it. But I spent a lot of money and a lot of time on golf, and I gave up, and I strictly painted.
So that was the changing point for you? No going back to golf?
I never golfed. I only golfed once after that with one of the guys from work. It was his birthday, and we golfed. Surprisingly enough, I was not that bad at it. I was shocked. But I have not ever devoted time to golf. I devoted everything that I had. Art was more my hobby at that point. Though, I hate to call it a hobby. Running the store and doing all the things that I had to do business-wise and teaching, which was to make money. Then art became sort of the hobby part of it, or the extracurricular thing. But I dedicated all my spare time to that. Right. And what you were saying earlier was
that golfing was almost more important to me than painting.
Right. And how much time did you spend on golfing?
4 to 5 times rounds a week.
And how many hours is in a round?
Well, let's just put it this way. I owned an art store at that time. I hope that my ex-business partner isn't going to see this, but I would close the store early and go to Water Valley to get 9 holes in before I'd go back to the farm to cook dinner for all the hired men who were in the fields.
All right.
Because that's how important it was to me.
And so how good at golf were you?
I was a good golfer.
You're still a good golfer.
I like to play golf. Let's put it that way.
How often do you golf?
I bet you we've only played 6 or 8 rounds this year.
Oh, that's in golf terms, that's nothing for you guys.
It's nothing.
Okay, so you played 6, 8 rounds. How often do you paint?
Let's put it this way. For painting, I teach all the time.
Well, you're always teaching. I get
4
that.
or 5 times a week.
For you though.
For me at the easel, not enough.
Well, for those of you who don't know, that's Marla Blackwell. We're here with Marla Blackwell, golf professional, teaching professional, painter professional, and all-around nice girl. We love you.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome to the Art and Gibberish podcast, or as I like to call it, Potato Water Thursday.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a crazy thing that we had in the... Join us for the prequel. In a world where art is number one, the prequel. When we were talking, you owned an art store. What did you have that art store in Cochrane?
Yes,
I didn't know that was you.
We had this store called the Paint Box.
That's right.
Yep. For 11 years.
Wow, I did not know that was you. That's crazy.
That was myself and a partner. It was so much fun. I loved it. I had to learn how to paint well and teach because we were short of teachers. I said, okay, somebody's got to teach. So I'm going to go out there and teach beginner watercolor is what it was.
Well, you guys did so good for a long time. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we were really good. It was a good business. And then it just kind of ran its course. And then I opened another store right away after called Cochrane Art Central.
Oh, see, I don't remember that.
And I was there for maybe 4 years.
I do remember Fern Tree Gallery.
Yeah, I was in there for a while.
Were you?
Yeah.
Right? So behind me, well, you can't see, but there's a painting on the wall. That's a Michelle Zarb painting, but she was in Fern Tree Gallery forever.
I
And she
took
was
a
a good
class with
friend of
her.
mine who lives in Poulsbo, Washington. But she was,
Oh, is that where she is
yeah,
now?
she is American. But we still chit chat. We're still out there and chit chatting. I don't know, I think she's a vet tech now or something. She's doing something else. And unfortunately, I don't think she's painting, which is a shame. I wish you would. Michelle,
Yeah,
if
it
you
is a
ever
shame.
watch this, get your ass to the easel again, woman. Anyways, love her dearly, but I have a bunch of paintings by her. Some of them I stole. Some of them she gave to me. She probably doesn't even know the ones
You
I
know
stole
what?
from
She's
her
a
house.
great instructor.
She was a fantastic instructor. She was my first employee at the store.
Oh, really?
Number one. She's number one. And her name is still Michelle with one L is I can't say that. The login code for the store. I can't. Oh, I just gave away the login code. He's shaking me. What are you
Ryan's shaking
doing? You're
his
so
head.
what?
You can't
Whatever.
give that away.
Guess we're changing that tomorrow. Anyways, all right. Okay, so, well, hey, welcome to Potato Water Thursday. And what's on your easel? What are you doing? Where are you painting? What are you doing?
Okay, right now I am doing a commission for one of my favorite collectors. And it is of I think probably a really awesome gentleman that passed away a few months ago. So my collector asked me to paint this painting of him, and he's going to give it to this fellow's son.
Cool. Is it a portrait or?
It's a portrait, but it's also in my style of figure painting. It's not hyperrealism or anything like that.
A little more expressive.
Expressive.
I get that. A little more
it's
figurative than
more
portrait-y, like tight
Yeah.
portrait-y. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked my collector too. I said, "So what do you want from this? Do you want my style? Do you want really hyperrealism or what?" He says, "No, I want you to paint it the way you do, but I want it to be recognizable. That's it."
Nice.
So that's what's on my easel.
Wow. What's the deal with how are you with commissions?
I love commissions.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, I hate them.
I know
hate them.
that most people don't like commissions. I love commissions. I think it's because it's a challenge, and I like to take on a challenge.
Awesome. I hate it because then they want me to paint whatever I get. It's got to look like 10 pounds lighter and 10 years younger, and it better look like this. I'm like, well, I don't paint like that. Why would you even pick me? You want it to be that? I don't know. I can't.
Well,
I'm
I get
ADD
that.
and I can't focus on that anyway. So
That's one of the first things I ask them. How do you want this to look? It's got to look the way I paint. Or
right, it has to.
I'm the
Well,
wrong
that's
person.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. All right.
Yeah. So that's what's on my easel right now, and then I need to get ready for a few shows that are coming up.
What's coming up? What's going on?
I always have had a show for the last 15 years, a solo show. In the autumn. It's always been the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Actually, when COVID came along, kind of killed it.
Yeah, right. Everything
Right?
switched then.
So now this year, I said I'm going to take some of my students and do a show with them on the date that I would normally do it, because I am not ready for a solo show, and I don't have a venue either.
But you're
So-
having a show at Framed on Fifth
Yep, in November.
in November. All right.
Yep.
Or do you do what I do and just show up with a pail of wet paintings
Almost.
and go, oh, here. Yeah, I forgot to sign that one. Well,
Because
silly.
you know what? I am an oil painter now.
Thank you for coming to the dark side.
And I still love acrylics, but man, I love that oil.
Isn't it the best?
Yes.
It's smoother than Barry White. It's
Oh, I don't know
deeper
about that.
and darker than
Barry
the
White?
darkest. Oh yeah, Barry White.
I remember him.
Right? Yeah, it's deeper and darker than James Earl Jones's voice. Luke. I don't know. I don't know. I kid everyone all the time about, oh, my glasses are still on. I kid everyone in class, and they're always blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh yeah, and acrylics, yeah, good, okay, yeah, that's good. Everyone's an amateur at some point, but when you become professional, you paint with oils, and
That can't be
everyone
cut
rides.
out.
Yeah, sorry,
part
Heather
has
Pant.
to go.
I love you. It's
No,
all
it
right.
has to stay. I mean,
All right.
because I have some acrylic painter friends that I really wish they would just try oils.
I have some that are like that too, but I teach. I am not an acrylic painter by any stretch of the imagination, but I have a few students that paint in acrylic, and I know so many people that paint in acrylic that do so well at it. Like they've really mastered the medium. And everyone knows I kid about acrylics and whatever, but honestly, it's like go back to the golf thing. It's all a matter of practice. If you're not practicing, if you're not working at it, it's not going to go anywhere for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be on top of it.
Absolutely.
What where are you painting out of? What are you doing? Like
Well, the house that we are renting right now has a beautiful front to it. Beautiful big room, windows all around it, north facing.
nice.
That is my studio.
All right. Set up, ready to go all the time?
Yeah, and that's
Are you a
where-
morning painter, evening painter, ADD painter, anytime painter?
Definitely a morning, daytime painter. But when the crunch is on, I got to paint at night too.
When the crunch is on, we got to do what we got to
Yeah,
do to
and
get her done.
this is the
Yeah.
season. The autumn is the season for me.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite season? Are you
Autumn.
you see? I'm an autumn guy. I love. Someone said to me at some point, they go, "Oh, yeah, you're a seasonal painter." I'm like, "What? What's that?" They go, "Well, you always paint whatever the season is. Like in winter, you paint winter paintings, in the fall, you paint fall paintings." I was like, "I do." And I looked back and went, I do. I didn't know that. I
Oh.
just assumed I was painting whatever I was painting. But I'm very, now, after the last 5 years or so, I realize I'm very in tune with the colors and what's going on around me, that I seem to migrate to that a lot. And forever, I used to paint, when I painted more plein air than I have been, I used to paint outdoors. And so it was very seasonal, of course. And then in winter, I always painted figures, because there was nowhere to go. It's 30 below, so let's paint boobs. It's much easier. So, but now I kind of paint figures all the time and everything all the time, but I am still a seasonal painter, definitely. You don't notice that, maybe?
For you?
No, for you.
For myself?
Are you a seasonal painter?
I always like to paint those warm colors.
Yeah.
Even when I paint a winter scene, it's a warm winter scene.
I am. I migrate to the warms too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just love those colors.
Right?
So rich. Yeah. And I find that's what my clients like too. They like
tend
the
towards-
warmer colors.
I've never monitored that, whether I've sold more. Well, how would you monitor that? Whether you sell more warm or cool paintings, because I paint more warm than cool, so it would obviously be skewed to begin with. So I don't know. That's kind of a.
Oh,
never
that's what
thought about that.
Mike Svob told us in one of his workshops, is that buyers usually like warmer colors, and they'll pick landscapes first, and then cityscapes, urbanscapes, and then what was it? Oh, florals, and then figures.
Yeah, bottom of the heap.
What do
We're always
you?
on the bottom of the heap.
What do you think? What have you found?
I think that for every painting, there's a buyer. We just got to match those two up.
That's a good way to approach it, don't you think?
I would say, yeah, landscapes, I guess, cityscapes. I think that the paintings that I always sell the most go right back to what I would say to rock and roll: 3 chords and the truth. The ones that sell are the ones that took me 0 time to paint, were the easiest to paint. They're the most simplest colors. Oh, it's only 2 colors, and it's this, and it took me no time to paint it. And then, you think like Pablo Picasso would always say,
Yeah.
take the brain out and let you paint what you can. And like, to be able to paint in 2 colors and 7 brush marks and do something in 10 minutes and make art out of it, it's like, how long did that take you to paint? 35 years and 9 minutes.
Yes.
You know, that's the hardest thing to do, is to be that simple. So I go back all the time and say, this is where I get this, 3 chords and the truth. But the number one all-time money-making machine for rock and roll is AC/DC. Out of all the bands there is, the money that they've made above and beyond the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and everything, if you include everything, because they're still recording, they're still doing stuff. And what did AC/DC do? They pointed their arrow that way and they said, this is what we're going to do. And what did they do? 3 chords. They usually, and excuse me for not being musical, but ACG, that's the chords that they always use. And what do they sing about? One of 3 things: sex, drugs, or rock and roll. 3 chords and the truth. That's all they've ever done. And they're bajillionaires. And people will tell you, oh, AC/DC, whatever. Anyone could copy. That's so easy. That's so easy. Where? Where are these other bands that are doing this? How come there isn't hundreds and hundreds of bands doing it? There isn't. Because it's harder than you think to be really brutally honest and simplify things and dumb it down for the person to understand it.
Yeah. Well, I had a student in my class today who put up one of her paintings, was absolutely gorgeous. And forgive me, girly, because if you see this, I'm talking to you. It was so beautiful. And she says, yeah, but I want to finish it. I want to put a bank in with some more grass. And I said, it's done. It's done. And I said, it's better to underpaint than overpaint. Don't ever forget that.
What do they say? 20% underdone is better than 2% overworked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it always takes 2 people to paint a painting. One to paint a painting and the other guy to hit him on a head and say, you're done. I think for me, I don't know about you, but that's still my weakest point in painting. Is I still don't stop when I should have.
Really?
I still I put it, I look at it and say, oh, it's still a good painting, but I'm like, I should have stopped 5 minutes ago. When I always think, oh my God, that's amazing. That looks like some famous guy painted it and it's so loose and crazy, but I'm like, I don't have the guts to stop there. And I don't. I just keep going.
What about that painting that's on the drying rack at your store of the barn?
Oh, that's dumb, boy. That's dumb, that painting. Whatever.
No, it isn't.
It's so... I painted that in 10 minutes for a demo or whatever.
So?
I know, but it's not. Really? What? No.
I love that painting. And I took my students out to see it.
I know. I love that about you. You take your students out to look at all the artwork and you point out all the good bits and show them because we need that. We need to see what's good. And you need to, like I said to you today, something about copying paintings and going, you're not supposed to copy paintings. Well, I don't know where they got that. You can copy a painting. It's good to learn. Like
it is good to learn.
Monet met, I think Pissarro met one of those guys. They met together in the Louvre painting a Titian painting. Going, they were both copying it. Going, we should go drinking, and then they became alcoholics together. That's like my favorite story. Like, whoa, hey, let's go drinking. No, I said today. Who doesn't learn Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the piano before you begin? Well, I'm sorry, but technically that's a Beethoven song. So, hello, you're copying. We all got to copy to some certain extent, right? That's how you learn. You learn from copying. You learn from your own. You learn from multiple. Study often. What does Carlson say? Or maybe Edgar Payne. Study often. Learn from nature and... I don't know, practice the crap out of shit. I don't know what he says, whatever.
That sounds good. So anybody could have said that. It makes sense.
I said that.
Yeah, you said that.
I just said that. That's my quote. That's my quote. What's your favorite thing to paint?
Oh, man.
What's your favorite color? Do you have a go-to color?
Purple, orange, and green. Can I say those 3?
You can, but that's like crazy. Now we got to... See, this is the part where painting comes up. Nice. Thank you, Ryan. Purple, orange, and green. Love it. Really, purple, orange, and green. That's out there.
Well, is it?
Purple and orange are like, they're like almost opposite. So that's weird. And then you throw a green in, which would be a discord color. That makes sense.
That sparkle.
Right. Awesome.
They're not all even.
Do you get excited when you get to paint?
All the time. That never changes.
Love it.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you get up in the morning and throw down some Java and hit the easel running?
No. I get up in the morning, put the coffee on, look at the emails, and then this is exactly what I did this morning. Went to my easel, cleaned off the palette with one of those great scraping tools that you have at your store. And then I started painting.
All right. Are we dressed? Are we in our jammies? Are we
Jammies.
Yeah, right.
Hey, there's a lot of windows in my house too, and a lot of traffic going by. Yeah.
All right.
Gotta have
All
some.
right. All right. Do you so let's take a little trip down memory lane. Do you remember the first painting you ever sold?
Oh yeah. It was the very first watercolor I painted.
When? How old? Where were you? What were you doing?
Okay, I started painting in November 1997. I know.
God, you remember the day you started painting?
Yeah, because the clouds in November, the skies.
So 97. So you're like 11.
I am older than you.
I don't think you are.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I
We've
know
already
that.
discussed this. You're actually not. But anyways, all right. But you remember the day you started painting? That's
Well,
crazy.
I remember the month, November 1997.
What did you paint?
Watercolor. I went to a 4-week class that Rocky View was putting on in Cochrane. Got hooked on it.
All right. It's a drug. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we started another 4-week class that I organized, kind of like that, like organizing things. And then it just kind of went off from there.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
You didn't paint when you were little? Where'd you grow up? Let's talk about where'd you grow up?
I grew up on a farm near Lomond. Do you know where that is?
I totally don't know where that is.
Do you know where Vulcan is?
I know where Vulcan is, yeah.
Okay. So about 45 kilometers east of Vulcan.
Wow, you're getting close to the border then. No, you're halfway. You're in the middle of Alberta then. You're like Lomond. What's it next to? What's closer to that? Bow Island?
Yeah, you're getting close. We're in the middle of between Brooks and Vulcan.
Oh, yeah. Wow, right in
Flat, bald.
Yeah,
prairie.
there's nothing there. There's nothing.
There's nothing there.
Dad was a farmer?
Dad's a farmer.
Farmed what?
Wheat.
Wheat. Right. Yes, I love bread.
Yep.
Bread is yummy.
So grew up that way. And then I went to Calgary.
When did you come to Calgary? Would you go to school there?
I went to SAIT and took the...
No way. We're talking kids. You did took the little yellow school bus to school?
Of course. Even my mom drove school bus.
Yes, awesome. Do you have chickens?
Sad to say.
Yeah, right.
True
so you're a
story.
total farm girl.
Chickens. I hated chickens.
Why? What's wrong with chickens?
Smelled awful.
Of course they do, but they taste good. Okay, so you go to school. When did you move to Calgary?
When I was 18.
Oh, and you went to SAIT for what?
Secretarial arts.
What? That's a thing?
I'll tell you, if you were a secretary from SAIT, you got hired.
Wow.
Because that was a tough class.
Didn't have to be a Kelly girl. Probably don't even know what that is, do you?
Probably not, no.
My mom was a Kelly girl. Some people on the podcast go, I remember that. That was a temp organization.
I'm not that old.
My mom was a stenographer.
Oh, yeah, stenographer. Remember that word.
She
No,
could do
we were
shorthand.
secretaries.
All right. So
You had to do shorthand at 120 words a minute.
Wow.
Type at 70 words
Who'd
a
you
minute.
work for?
I worked for a development company downtown,
Nice.
corporate, commercial. And then I met my husband. And then we were farmers.
Oh, and then you went to Cochrane and farmed. Mm-hmm. So you became a farm wife.
Again.
Wow. Back to the chickens.
No chickens.
No chickens? No? What'd you farm?
We grew, and husband still does, grows hay.
All right. Hey, that's a good thing.
I know that doesn't really sound that exciting, but we export.
Oh, no, hay is big. You got people buy hay from you all the time. They need winter feed, right? Hay is,
And it's horse country where our
right?
farm is.
Did you ever have a horse?
Yes, once. And
No. No?
she was an Arab and she was a bad girl.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah, we could not ride her. So
you take a watercolor class and you're hooked. Now you're
Absolutely.
organizing the watercolor class. And how'd you end up being so famous?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I would. You should hear the talk amongst the people. You listen to, everybody's like, get Marla. She's the best. She's the best. And then we got you. You are the best. You're the best. Honest to God. You're so good.
Oh, well, I love being at Swinton's.
Well, thank you. But you are the best. It's awesome.
Well, thank you.
And I don't know how you got good really fast. So you became a very good painter very quickly.
I well, you know what it takes. You got to work hard. You got to do that mile. There's no shortcuts.
You know, my teacher, one teacher, Norm Brown, I had said, it takes 100 miles of canvas to become a good painter. And I was like, seriously, 100 miles? He goes, yeah. I started painting 10 by 45 that afternoon. Apparently that doesn't work.
Quicker.
Nah, it didn't work.
You know what I'm painting right now are 6 by 6s, inches.
Squares, little mini squares.
Yeah. You came into my class that day when I brought them in for them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
right?
what's so good. Yeah.
I'm going to do that again.
Do it again. Yeah.
Because they're just all getting a little bit tight. And I say, okay.
Yeah, you got to break them out of that and loosen them up, right?
Here's your board. You have an hour to paint.
That's my go-to. Paint big and fast, loosen up and get funky like, they do. Because, I know when I used to paint outdoors, my buddy Jerry that I painted with all the time, he'd know once the little brush came out and I was diddling away, he'd be way over in the field painting. And he'd be like, Swinton, what's with the little brush? You're finished. Your painting's done. I know it is. So I'd walk away. And he was right all the time. I'd get that dinky little brush out and start farting around.
You don't paint with that brush anymore.
I don't even own a dinky brush anymore. No. I've retired all the dinky brushes. Dinky be gone. All right.
What about for this kind of thing here, like those small marks? How do you use a chisel?
I just use a flat brush right on its edge. On its side. Yeah. I'd say to people all the time, like they buy these brushes and they think the brush just makes one mark, but turn it a quarter of a turn, a half a turn. You can put it up on its edge. You can go up, you can go down, you can go sideways. A brush will do a million things if you hold it. Everybody just seems to do the same thing with it. Like it just goes this way. It doesn't go.
Yeah.
You can go up and down. Turn it and do whatever. Yeah.
So what is your favorite brush? Doesn't everybody have a favorite? Oh, yeah. Like
right now, my favorite brush is a Jack Richardson number 24 long flat bristle. It's this wide. It's about this wide.
Okay.
And because they make a 20, but Jack Richardson makes a 24. Bigger and longer. Theirs are brights, which are good. Don't get me wrong, but it's so soft and so big. So the
bristles are long if it's a flat.
It's flat. So they're about this high and this wide.
It's in my
bucket. Go get it. It's in my bucket. We can show them. No, I don't want to go get it. Anyways, right now it's my favorite brush, and it's all I can do not to use it. Even if I'm painting on a 9x12, I want to put it on the canvas. I love it because a big brush doesn't make small marks. You can't paint the fleas on the dog till you've painted the dog. What's your favorite brush?
Well, I really enjoy different mediums.
Right. Let's go. Let's just. Do you use Kolinsky Sable for watercolor?
Hell no.
See, I'm in that camp too.
Now,
everyone, you gotta get a Winsor Newton Series 7 number, and I own a store to sell it. That's the most expensive brush.
Right.
Whatever. I just use you just need a round brush that's good.
Do you know what my favorite brush for watercolor is? The Ron Ranson Hakey brush.
Oh, they were good. Oh, I don't even know if you can buy those anymore. But
you have Hakey brushes in the store.
We do have. But a hake, you like the hake that gets goat hair.
So
soft and floppy.
I would get the 1.5 inch.
Yeah.
I've taught classes with this 1.5 inch goat hair brush. I like Ron Ranson, and a script liner.
That's all you need. I 100% agree with you. So let me do a scenario for you and see if you agree with this. Hi, I'm Marla. We're going to teach a workshop. Welcome to my workshop. We're doing oil, acrylic, and watercolor. Okay, so oil painters, they show up and they roll out their brushes. They have 4 brushes. One's good. The other 3 are from 1970. 2 are rock hard, and 1 has 1 hair on it, but they're not giving it up because there's still 1 hair and they'll use it. And I'm like, but you need like 12 brushes to paint in oil. But then the watercolor person shows up and rolls out this thing
Oh,
with
yes.
7,000 brushes of every shape and design and size since the dawn of man. And I'm like, why do you have all these brushes? And then I take this flat and this round and I'm done.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Isn't that crazy? What is with that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But you watercolorists, pare it down. Oil painters, step it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And clean those brushes
Oh, you can't say enough about
for oil and acrylic. Clean those brushes.
and watercolor and clean the water. Clean your acrylic water too, please. These guys got sludgy water that looks like drinking water from India or something.
And
I
then
don't
it
know.
gets on the
Oh, I
paper.
can't say that. I just got to look like that'll be edited out. looks like Red Deer drinking water. We could say that. Edmonton drinking water. Okay, we'll do that. Add that one in. Something like Edmonton drinking water. Anyways, no, they got sludgy water. And my pet peeve is not cleaning your palette and not cleaning your rag and whatever you're wiping stuff on. They've got a rag that's their husband's used underwear and they've had it for 20 years. They're still wiping their brush on it. Come on, people, clean your stuff, please.
And it's all oily and dirty.
It's gross and I don't even want to touch it.
throw it in
Yeah.
the garbage.
Yeah, right?
I cleaned out my little tin today.
Oh, yeah, how was
You know,
that?
what are those things called with the
A terp sludge bucket thing?
okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really good at cleaning stuff.
So you should put don't you put the,
Tom showed me that today.
You gotta
the
put-
plastic bag.
yeah,
around.
put the
This-
baggie in there and then put the thing in because you can just, right?
That's what he says. Doug's genius on this. I said,
Oh,
my
I didn't invent
God.
that, but that's the greatest thing. Like that
I
makes
am
it so
doing
easy.
that.
Yeah, put a lunchy bag inside there and clean it out. Oh, way easier. Yeah. That's,
Okay, then where do we put all the sludge? Where's that supposed to go?
You can give it to me and I have a bucket and then I take it to the waste management site or whatever and take
Okay.
care of it. So, but you can give it to me. We have, so if you look at the bucket that we have that's there for cleaning
Yes.
brushes, down beside that, we have a used terp thing. You can throw anything in there and I take that every couple of months. I take it to the dump or whatever and they.
Because that's how we have to get rid of it, isn't it? Is be responsible.
Well, you do.
Artists.
I mean, yeah, technically though, honestly, anything that's in paint is not really harmful. Like all the pigment that's in there. Now people will say, "Oh, but there's cadmium in there."
Yeah.
Well, cadmium is only bad for you if you breathe it. That's why it says on the back of the tubes, "Do not spray apply." Because it's like asbestos. It has a barb on it that will hook into your lungs. And if you breathe it for long enough, it's a carcinogen. It will cause cancer. If you breathe it for an hour, once a week or once every 2 weeks, you would never get cancer from it for most painters. But if you were to paint every day and be spray applying cadmium, I would not do that.
No.
But all of the stuff that's in oil paint and acrylic paint, for that matter, for the most part, all comes out of the ground to begin with. It's all fine. Acrylic has a few more chemicals in it than oil does because it has formaldehydes and defoamers and plasticizers and whatever. So I probably wouldn't throw it into the ground. But most of this stuff you could probably put back into the ground and there's nothing wrong. There's only pigment and linseed oil in paint. That's all that's in there.
So is acrylic paint a little bit more toxic than oil?
I hate to use the word toxic. There are more chemicals in it, more plasticizers, and it's all plastic and it's all petrochemicals that's in there. And oil paint is all natural. So I hate to use the word toxic. Listen, what I usually say is there is far more toxic stuff under your kitchen sink than there is in what you're painting with. Right. And if you look on Golden's website, Golden has a great website that shows you proper disposal of water for acrylic paint that doesn't get into the water system. And that's
Right.
wonderful. And so everything that I use for oil paint, when I do, I take it to the city dump and they dispose of it properly. However that is, I don't know what that is. I'm a chemical dude, but
Yeah.
but they do it responsibly. But honestly, there's really nothing. All these people, there was a big thing in the early 80s and through the mid 90s about beating on oil painters because it's so toxic. The only thing that was ever toxic about oil paint was paint thinner when you use turpentine, which technically it's toxic because it's poisonous to you, but it's not really harmful to the environment. It's tree sap is all it is. It's just you can't eat it. It's like some mushrooms. You can't eat them. They'll kill you. You get bit by a snake. Oh, snake's toxic. I don't know what it was. They
Oh,
beat
okay.
on that.
Yeah.
But once they got Robert Gamblin made Gamsol and figured out, hey, we don't need these heavy, heavy thinners for oil. All you need it to be is slightly more malleable than the oil to thin the oil. It only needs to be a percentage higher. So now it's really not that toxic at all. And I mean, I don't know. I must get off my soapbox.
But you know what? I have noticed a difference because when I tried oils maybe 20 years ago, I couldn't paint with them.
It smell because the thinners were bad, but also some of the mediums. Like I don't know if you ever use Liquin because I would fill a bathtub full of Liquin and bathe in it. I love that stuff. But Liquin used to be 33% high flash solvent was in there. Now it's not. There's nothing in it. They took the warrant. There's no skull and crossbones on it. There's no label on it
Oh,
anymore.
okay, that's good.
Yeah, there lots of those mediums are because it's come a long way in 20 years before. And I remember my mom painting in the kitchen and she'd have her little, remember the Mateus bottle of wine with the wicker basket?
Oh, that's what my mom did.
Right? And
Totally,
she'd have
still life.
grapes and still life. And she'd paint a
Right.
still life. And
All
I
those
thought
earth
my mom
tones.
was painting. I think it was just an excuse to drink a bottle of wine in the afternoon. But she'd paint this stuff. And I remember her with her paints and it would stink to high heaven.
Oh, yeah.
And I see pictures now of classes, that were, the Los Angeles Art School from 1954. And there's 25 people crammed in this little room and they're all oil painting and they all would have had thinner. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what that would smell like. And you must have come out higher than a kite. And I can't even imagine how they did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
in
I
those
don't know.
days it was rough.
Yeah. It's so far way better now. Way, way better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever paint in gouache?
No.
No gouache, eh? Well, let's get on.
You
to-
do?
I do. I love it. It's the perfect marriage between watercolor and oil.
Oh.
I love it because it works just like oil, but it has a little bit more watercolory to it, which I like because I started in watercolor. That was the first thing I started. I painted in watercolor first, and then I went to pastels.
I love pastels.
Yeah, see, I do too, but I just get, it's so hard to, I just want to mix that perfect color right now, and it takes so long to find that pastel.
Well, did Sue Wilgar tell you that we made pastels with her?
I've made pastels with her.
You have too?
Well, yeah.
They're beautiful.
Right? The ones that they made, oh my God, I
God,
still have, well, I actually just recently sold a bunch of my pastels, but there was a bunch of what I call turds in there because they look like turds
Oh,
when
yeah,
you
they
make
do.
them. But I had the most beautiful viridian greens you've ever seen in there.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing because I wasn't a pastel painter then. But I thought, well, I'm going to take this class. Why not? And we were down at a friend's in Longview, her ranch. She has a
Donna
studio.
Wilson.
Yes. So that's
Hi,
where
Donna.
we were. And Susan was there with her and making all this pastel stuff for us. And we were rolling out. And of course, Jane's right beside me, Romanishko.
Oh my God.
She
And
rolls
she's like
out-
the queen of pastels.
She has like 400 and I have 27.
I know she has like 400 for today. Tomorrow she'll bring a different 400.
She's unbelievable.
Isn't she? I know. Amazing,
Yeah,
right?
she's unbelievable. And you're going to be teaching again.
I'm going to her place in Casa Buena in the end of January. I'm doing 2 weeks.
You're
this
doing
year.
2 weeks.
I know. She roped me into 2 weeks. I'm not worried about the teaching, but I'm worried about my liver. That might be an issue.
I
coming
know
home.
that wine list gets really big.
There's no wine list there because me and Miguel, the gardener, we just drink vodka together.
Well-
When I show up, he shows up with the vodka going, yay, my friend is here. He doesn't speak English. I don't speak Spanish, but we speak vodka. Yeah.
It's such a great place.
Right? So, when did you first, do you remember going outside painting? First time you went outside painting?
No, I don't remember the first time, but I do remember close to the first time was at a competition. I had no idea what we were actually doing. Cheryl Petty was there as well.
Oh, she's so good too. Has
Yeah.
she not come a long way?
She has come a long way.
She's an ace. She's just like, that's your testament. You ever want to know what practice will get you? Follow Cheryl
Cheryl.
Petty.
But neither she nor I had painted outside much before. So here we are painting our little 6x8s or whatever. freaking out at this place that we were painting. I think you know what it is too, because you did the following year. You were one of the judges out at Layton. But we were
Yep.
at, where's that place out west of Cochrane?
Oh,
Mannix own it.
yeah, I remember that place. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but that was a fancy,
Oh yeah.
like hotel-y type place,
So
right?
we're all out there.
Oh,
all
that's
of us
right.
Rookies.
I was in that competition then, and
Were you?
Yeah, and I forget who won. I know the guy's name.
Yeah, you do. I got second place.
Oh, yeah, all right.
And Cheryl got third. We were.
I think
over
one year they only did that 2 years, I think.
Yes, and you were judging.
I
At Layton
judged
the
1
second
year. That's right.
Third year or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But both Cheryl should we be in the amateur section or should we be in the? I said, well, we're professional painters. We sell what we do, so I think we should go for the professional side, and we did, and it paid off.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved it. That was probably the top point.
Right. That's like, to round things back around again to the golf thing. That's like playing 9 holes. All you got to get is one good shot and you're hooked. You go like you suck the whole day, but you get that one sweet shot, right?
But you know what? I've sucked ever since with plein air painting.
No, you haven't.
That really isn't my thing. I love studio painting.
Well, I do. I must admit, I've kind of caved to that too. It's I like painting no matter what, and I like outdoor painting. But I think I changed a little bit because I realized that for the longest time I was trying to paint what was right there outside, and then I realized, but I'm changing it. And if I'm changing it and doing everything, why am I even out here? Like, why am I not at home where it's warm and nice and there's vodka and I don't have to drive and whatever? So,
and there's a bathroom.
well, for you girls, that is a thing, yes, right?
Yeah.
All right.
But I do have a lot of friends that go out to the mountains all the time. And
well, look at Cheryl. Man, winter, summer. She should be a mailman. Winter, sleet, snail, snow, mail, hail, whatever. I will paint you a painting outdoors.
Yeah, that's her.
It
That's
is.
her thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, what's coming up? What do you got? You got the show at Art on 9th. That's an Invermere on Art on 5th on Framed on 5th. Hannah, I'm sorry, Patricia. Framed on 5th. Look it up. It's a good place.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And a couple shows before that, and then teaching. Well, it's still always teaching. Yes.
And teaching. Are you painting big, small? What's the biggest painting you've ever painted?
4 feet by 5 feet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you like the big? Do you like the small? Do you have a go-to size?
Depends where I can paint, what room I have.
Right? Are you like, for me, it's very intuitive. I just look at a scene and I know it needs to be this big or this big. I don't know why that is, but
exactly.
Very intuitive, right? Yeah. Are you an intuitive painter?
Oh, yes. Spontaneous, intuitive, but I like to design first. And that's what I tell my students. They got to have that thumbnail sketch.
Right? You got to get the skeleton. You got to get the I like to call it, the blueprint first, right? I don't care what color you paint your house. I don't care how funky it looks on top, but it better have a good foundation or it's not going to stand up.
Why do our students not want to do that?
Well, everybody wants to just jump to the painting part. The painting's fun. Let's do the fun part.
But then they get frustrated.
They do, and the painting falls apart.
The building's in the middle of the canvas.
And as I've said 1,000 times, the most 90% of the problems in a painting have occurred in the first 5 minutes. And it's because you didn't do your homework to begin with to avoid those problems.
Thank you for that.
All right.
So true.
All right. You got to tell me some go-to rules. What's your go-to rules?
When I'm teaching?
Yeah. For you, I mean, anything. What's your go-to?
The number one word for me is value.
Right.
And composition. I have a little sheet that I was in Mike Swab's class years ago, and he gave us a bunch of words, and I wrote them all down, and everybody else is writing pages and pages. But seriously, it's value, composition, edge, line. Color was always at the bottom.
Right? So I spent so long teaching this stuff and doing critiques for people all over that I came up with this thing that said drawing, value, edges, color. And those are the order that those things must be in. And I thought, oh my God, I'm getting good at this. I'm so smart.
Perfect.
And then I bought the Richard Smith Alla Prima book, and you open it up and it's like, oh, here's chapter 1, drawing, value, edges, color. All his chapters were in that order. And I was like, oh. So I didn't make this up or whatever. I thought I discovered something, but I'm like, apparently that's just the order that is. But as he says, color is the least of your worries. If you do all of these, color can be king. But until you do these, color will never be king.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right?
I agree 100%.
Yeah, drawing, value, and composition always, right? It's just, yeah. So I liken it to, I always say composition is so important. So you think about singers, and I always refer back to music, but I'm like, two of the worst singers on the planet that shouldn't even be allowed to sing, Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson. Why are they both famous? Because the dudes know how to write a song. They can put anything together, but their voices are crap. But they can put musically together a composition that is so wonderful that it doesn't matter what color you put on top of it. It's going to look good.
That is so
And
true.
so, Bob Dylan is like, makes this, he can't sing worth crap, but man, he's written some pretty good songs, and he's sure made millions of dollars for other people that have sung his songs because he knows a good composition. And Willie Nelson's, like, hey man, got a lonely, whatever he does, and his guitar is out of tune, and he's always half a note out before he comes in. He shouldn't even be allowed on stage. And he's written the greatest songs for everyone, and himself included. Their voices are color. Last. You don't need it. It's good. Composition, man. Guys, work on your composition.
That is so true.
Right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
And value.
And then value. We see in value before we see in color. And what do they say? Color gets all the credit, but value does all the work.
Yeah.
Learn your values. Learn to paint in values. Absolutely. Oh, well, this is wonderful. I'm so glad you came. And
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being the farmer's daughter and the
that's what I
farmer's
am.
wife at the same time. And thanks for being here and coming to this. Thank you. This is awesome. So at Marla Blackwell, everyone check her out. Check out her stuff, man. She's an amazingly good teacher. Absolutely, 100%. Love her dearly. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Podcast out.